States and Israel mounted over the weekend and that are continuing as we speak. To discuss all of this and make sense of it as best we can, I'm delighted to have with us one of the people that we turn to in Israel for expert analysis and commentary, informed by his extensive experience in the Israel Defense Forces, through whose ranks he rose to that of a major. He's now retired, but he keeps being summoned to serve his country as a reservist, and I think even on active duty at various points. His name is Elliot Chodoff. He has contributed to our understanding of this greatly, as well as that of many others, with his analyses and podcasts and commentaries, and we're going to ask him to tell you where you can find all of that here in a moment. But first, let me say welcome, Elliot. It's very good to have you with us. At a time such as this, especially, give us, if you would, quickly your readout on where we stand at the moment with respect to this war with the regime in Iran.
Well, the regime and its apparatus suffered major beatings, setbacks over the past couple of days since the initial strikes. The Israeli and American, and it started with Israeli strikes, but I think it's important to note that when the Israeli planes, this was incidentally the largest airstrike that the Israeli Air Force has ever launched in terms of scale, 200 aircraft simultaneously. But when they hit the targets, the American planes were already in the air. In other words, this was a layered in. This was not America somehow following or responding, but rather a coordinated effort. And I think there were all sorts of good tactical reasons for it to be done that way. But it was a planned, coordinated, joint attack, which totally synchronized, and continues to be synchronized. You can't have that many combat aircraft flying over that area without everybody sitting, or a coordinating team sitting in real time watching it all. This makes air traffic control in a major airport look like child's play by comparison, and that's complicated enough. So the regime was heavily hit in terms of leadership, including Ayatollah Khamenei, the late and unlamented, the murderous dictator, despite Washington Post's obituary of his fluffy beard and ready smile and all of that. Unbelievable. And with it, their air defenses, the U.S. struck their Navy and did major damage to it, sinking a number of their ships, their major ships, and their missile capabilities. And it's ongoing. We're talking about thousands of airstrikes that are continuing in all sorts of directions. So the regime has suffered a major setback.
Yeah, I guess the key question is it a death blow? Or are we likely to see the dead enders of the regime and their security apparatus continue to oppress the Iranian people and threaten ours, sir?
Okay, so the answer is the coup de grace, the finishing strike has to be done by the Iranians themselves. In other words, this is setting them up for it. It's preparing them for it. There's a difficult moment here because nobody really knows. This is one of those things where they shouldn't rise up too soon. They shouldn't wait too long. And from too soon to too late goes very, very quickly. There's not a lot of sweet spot in there, if you will, for them to do it. But if they strike properly at the right time, and the right time I don't think is there yet, it might be in a few days, they can certainly overthrow the regime.
There are strikes ongoing, which complicates the timing of the popular uprising. Elliot, is there any question in your mind that the people of Iran are keen to engage in such an uprising, especially given the bloodletting that the regime perpetrated in the period after the last
Sure.
of these protests. The last,
Yes,
the last strikes, I should say.
6 weeks ago. I think it's still there. I think that there is a dilemma. In other words, first of all, depending on whose numbers are accurate, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 were killed. Those are 30, 40, 50, 60,000 rebels who are no longer there, leaving the human tragedy. I'm speaking now purely in revolution terms. On the other hand, there are still a lot of people out there who are intent in overthrowing the regime. I think they're a little more wary, especially after President Trump's message, keep it up, help is on the way. And in that wave, at least, help didn't arrive. So I think they're going to be a little more cautious this time. But I think that ultimately, if the regime is rocked back against the ropes, they will rise up against it. Will it succeed or not? That's one of those things that, only history will tell us in the aftermath.
And do you have any good read on who is likely to emerge in a leadership role? Is that knowable at this point?
That's a fool's guess. We've seen this historically, going back to revolutions centuries ago. The group that tears down the regime is often not the group that rebuilds afterwards. Now, in this particular case, and I'm reading a lot of the commentary in America, and I think a lot of it is nonsense, it can't be worse than the regime that's there now. Okay, so, there's always an element here of rolling the dice, and you don't know what's going to come out at the other end of it. But in this case, whatever comes out can't be worse than what is. So it's a good bet in terms of doing it. It's got to be better. Will it be a lot better? Will it be marginally better? Those are things we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Elliot, there's reporting that the Iranian strategy is to try to incite attacks on it by the Sunnis, thereby making this into a sectarian struggle and thereby, hopefully, from their point of view, garnering support that they wouldn't otherwise enjoy. Could you just comment on that prospect, sir?
I think that they're pushing the Sunni, the Arab states. Remember that there's not only a Sunni Shiite element here, there's also an Arab Persian element to it.
A lot of bad blood over centuries, no?
Oh, that's right. That's right. They didn't want to get involved. I think they were afraid of a truncated campaign, as happened the last time, the so-called 12-day campaign, because America could turn around tomorrow morning and say, hey, we want to go and pack up its things and go home. So I think there's a fear of that. I think that the Iranians are trying to do something else as well, and that is to make this look like a regional war, because America has shown, or at least some of Trump's advisors have said, this is what we're afraid of. And the minute they hear this is what you're afraid of, they're going to try to promote it.
They are. Elliot Chodoff, I know it's a religious holiday, Purim, in Israel,
coming up
very shortly, and we're going to let you go with only that very, very superficial capstone, if you will, of this scenario now unfolding before us. We look forward to talking with you further about all of it in the very near future, and thank you for taking the time to be with us this morning. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with more.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel and take Go Pills to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel locked in.
Go Pills are packed with neurotransmitter support. Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Mic on, lights up. Soldier Fuel keeps me dialed right in.
Both are used by the U.S. military every day.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
And they're now available to you.
This is huge.
Scan the QR codes below and order your supply today.
Hear that pop? So good.
Go to buysoldierfuel.com or search on Amazon.
This is performance fuel. Clean energy, sharp mind. That's how we do it at RAV.
Visit buygopills.com and get 15% off automatically.
Go Pills and Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again.
Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Lazar Garcianovich here from Japan. Love Real America's Voice, real news, honest views, and love seeing everyone there. God bless America.
My name is Sandy Zeiss. RAV is the greatest for me because I live alone, and when I'm watching in the morning, have my coffee, I feel like I'm talking with family.
I wanted to give you some of my own thoughts about where we are on this Iran business and where we need to go from here. Last week, Donald Trump courageously determined that after years of analysis, debate, and efforts to negotiate a different outcome, the regime in Iran that had brought ruinous hardship to its own people and relentlessly threatened ours must be destroyed. He bet his presidency by launching in concert with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu devastating and ongoing military operations to that end. The result was the mullahocracy's immediate decapitation, with the elimination of the so-called supreme leader and most of his senior subordinates. Those left are retaliating, thankfully thus far with minimum casualties. President Trump must resist the temptation to end the campaign to liberate the Iranian people before that goal is accomplished. Doing so would ensure the Sharia supremacists of the Shiite stripe remain dangerous enemies, and Sunni counterparts worldwide will redouble their efforts to bring death to America, including here at home. Well, those are my thoughts. For more of them, please check us out at Frank Gaffney on X and also at the Institute for the American Future's website, usfuture.org. We're going to turn to one of our great experts on, well, just about everything. He's our duty genius, in fact. George Racely is his name. He is the editor of a wonderful online resource, Conservative HQ. He is also a man of considerable experience in Washington on Capitol Hill and in the executive branch, and a dear friend of ours and member of our Committee on the Present Danger China to boot. George, very quickly, your assessment of this military operation and its prospects for future success, sir.
Well, the initial execution of the Operation Epic Fury has been a phenomenal success. The death of the so-called supreme leader of Iran and his top subordinates has been a long time coming, frankly. I mean, we could go through the 47-year-long history of this one-sided war in which America has, for some reason that's inexplicable to me, and I've been at the highest levels of government where these considerations were undertaken, we've refused to fight for almost 50 years. Finally, Donald Trump has taken the initiative, joined our Israeli allies, and taken the fight to our enemy. It's very important to recognize how this not only discomfits our Muslim enemies, Sharia supremacists, but it also severely discomfits our Red Chinese enemies and our Russian enemies. So this has been so far not just a twofer, but a threefer or a fourfer in terms of American national security. Now, that doesn't mean that we're home free by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot more to do. Job one being to institute a new friendly government in Iran. And at this point, the process for doing that remains unclear to me. But there are a lot of wheels turning in that regard. And I feel good about the prospects there, although it's not going to happen tomorrow, certainly.
But George, let me ask you, as a serious practitioner of policy and politics, whether you believe that the American people have been sufficiently equipped with an understanding of what's at stake here to support what the president is doing. And I agree with you. I think it's been astonishingly impressive, both militarily and in terms of the courage that the president has exhibited in taking this very, very high-risk initiative. Do you think the public, if it does have an appreciation of what's going on, is likely to be willing to stay the course for the duration of what it takes to finish the job with this regime in Tehran?
Well, the initial polling and polling leading up to the kickoff of Epic Fury indicated that there was a lot of support for getting rid of the Ayatollahs, and there's a lot of expectation that it was going to happen. Something like 65% of the electorate polled by Rasmussen indicated they expected something like this. So it wasn't exactly a surprise, and it wasn't exactly something that was not supported, especially among Republicans. However, there are strong indications in the polling that there is not an appetite for a long war. Now, what does that mean? Is 3 or 4 weeks a long war? Is 3 or 4 months a long war? Clearly, 3 or 4 years would be a long war. So the president has basically bet his administration and his legacy on wrapping this up fairly quickly. And we have to recognize that the American people, after the debacle in Afghanistan, have very small appetite for foreign wars, although this one clearly is strongly justified. And I think the president has so far made a good case for what he's been doing in the backdrop of the Iranian pursuit of nuclear weapons. And
George, let me just put it to you this way. That concern about the willingness of the American people to support this effort over time, and his campaign promise, not to get into any new foreign endless wars, would presumably be among the impetuses behind what I was sort of speculating will be a temptation for him, as we saw in, for example, the 12-Day War, the earlier effort to stop the Iranian pursuit of nuclear weapons, namely, just wrap it up, decide that enough is enough, and he's going to call it quits. And whether the enemy is going to call it quits or not, notwithstanding, or even leaving in the lurch our ally, Israel, which may not be willing to stop short of a decisive victory again. Do you think that the president will yield to that temptation, sir?
Well, I certainly hope not. And it is my understanding that the advice he is getting from Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio in particular is that this must be carried to its conclusion. And I think that certainly Rubio and Hegseth, and I hope the president understand what the chief of staff of the Indian Army said after the first Gulf War, which was the lesson of the first Gulf War, is don't fight the United States without nuclear weapons. The George Raisley corollary to that is you don't pursue nuclear weapons unless you want to fight the United States. Well,
fascinating point, George. We have to leave it at that. This is a topic to which we will return with you in future conversations. It is vital that the American people understand the stakes here, the risks of failing to achieve a decisive victory. We're going to be talking about that and much more with Josh Hammer on the other side of this very short break. George Raisley, keep up the great work at Conservative HQ. Come back to us with updates on all of this, if you will, and keep the fame. This is a moment when we mustn't let it be extinguished. We'll be right back. Stay tuned, folks.
Exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted,
seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th, like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit RealAmericasVoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office.
Welcome back. What a delight to be able to say welcome to our next guest. His name is Josh Hammer. He is one of the clearest thinkers I know on matters involving particularly the issues that are top of mind at the moment. And that is the need to finish the job with respect to the Iranian regime, having been, well, quite magnificently launched by President Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, it is clearly the case that they reached the right conclusion, to my way of thinking, and I believe that of our guest, that we could not further tolerate the kind of threats that were emanating from this regime, and it was past time to help liberate the people of Iran. Going to get into all of that and more with Josh. He is an important contributor to, among other places, Newsweek, I believe. He is the author of an incredibly important book, Israel and Civilization. He is a man that I've come to admire greatly for clarity on so many of these topics, and we are deeply appreciative of him finding time in a very busy day to give us a couple of minutes on his take on where we are and where we are going next. Josh Hammer, welcome back to Securing America.
Frank, I really appreciate the generous introduction. Thank you, my friend.
So just a quick level setting. Where do you think we are at the moment?
We are in a moment of history, is where we are. This is historical stuff, Frank. I mean, you have dedicated large swaths of your career to this. I'm only 37 years old. My entire adult lifetime of following geopolitics, these names that have been synonymous with the Iranian regime, Khamenei, Ahmadinejad, they are gone. They are no longer. And Donald Trump has yet again risen to the moment. He has yet again answered any questions that anyone might have had, whether he is able, willing, eager to live up to his word, just as he did with Maduro, just as he did with Soleimani back in 2020, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the former head of ISIS, over and over again. He has shown that he is a man of his word, and now he again has solidified himself as a great man of history. We will see exactly how this plays out. I don't pretend to know exactly how every step of this process, Frank, is going to look. What I do know is that the United States and Israel have jointly achieved complete air dominance over the skies of Iran at this time. And it seems that with the combined intelligence of Mossad and the CIA, that the two militaries are essentially operating in such capacity that they can basically just pluck from the skies these mullahs, ayatollahs, IRGC commanders as they come into power. So I don't know exactly how every stage will look like there, but my fervent hope, Frank, is that as these strategic pluckings continue and as the bombings of the missile depots and things like that also continue there, that there will emerge a concerted effort from the Iranian people to take the course of history into their own hands there. Will that look like a civil war between the remaining regime loyalists and the opposition? Or at that point, will the regime loyalists be so greatly diminished that it'll just be a shell of itself there? These are questions that I simply do not know the answer to there. But I know that the situation in the Middle East today is substantially better than it was just a few days ago. And we have Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu to thank for that.
I completely agree with that, Josh. And it is a work in progress. I'm asking you questions that nobody knows the answer to, but you've got, as I indicated earlier, and I think very clear eye as to the dynamics at work here. And that's all we can do is sort of evaluate them. So in terms of the willingness of the people of Iran to rise up, again, in the face of having had, by some estimates, 60, maybe even 100,000 of them killed by this regime on its way out the door. Is that appetite there, Josh? Do you sense that there's a likelihood that they will find a way to coalesce around some new governing arrangement that will spare them and, well, frankly, probably others as well, the cost of civil war?
I certainly hope so. And there's a role to play here, certainly, for Elon Musk's Starlink, for technology like that, to make sure, for instance, if the U.S. and Israel are able to try to cut off internet of the regime there, that there's a role for outside actors like Elon Musk to try to provide internet there. There's probably a role to play when it comes to providing small arms there as well. Part of the problem definitely is going to be to try to unify what are admittedly somewhat disparate factions of the anti-regime forces around a singular figure. To me, it seems that the exiled crown prince, Reza Pahlavi, is the obvious guy. There's not a single person other than him who kind of leaps immediately to mind as to who that alternative choice could possibly be. Pahlavi, to his great credit, does not necessarily want to be the next king of Iran. Rather, what he has been saying for decades is that what he aspires to is to be just a helpful transitional figure to try to bring the Iranian people away from the theocratic clerisy into something remotely resembling Western democracy there. So that would be my best guess as to what that might look like. I think we're probably not quite there yet. I think that the air campaign from the United States and Israel has to further continue there. Has to further take out some more of the regime's infrastructure, some more of the IRGC, some more of the ballistic missiles launching sites there. They've already, I'm not taking it away. They've done amazing, extraordinary work thus far. So I am absolutely not in any way taking away. I'm simply saying that if your hope is to try to encourage Iranian people to take matters into their own hands there, I think we probably just have a little further ways to go before they do that. I do worry as to whether or not they actually genuinely have the tools at their disposal to do such a thing there. Potentially key here, Frank, and this is where I believe the United States probably has actually done a lot more work clandestinely than most people realize. I suspect that the U.S. has probably been in touch with many people actually in the IRGC who've been looking for opportunities to defect, who've been looking for opportunities to try to avoid getting killed in exchange for some sort of immunity there. That is potentially a way to try to get into some of the regimes, maybe even their own weapons, try to get those weapons in the hands of the actual people themselves there. Again, as you said, I'm just speculating there, but to me, this is the kind of action that doesn't happen overnight. They've been thinking about this for a very, very, very long time. And I think that they've thought this through a lot more carefully than a lot of people are giving them credit for. That is to say, the Trump administration.
We will be watching that all closely. Interestingly, on the question of armaments, Josh, has some bearing on another preoccupation of mine, and I think of yours as well, is the fact that apparently some 700 or so mosques in Iran have now been attacked by people there, apparently seeking, among other things, not just to destroy these, bastions really of the power of the regime, but also to extract weapons that are stored there, which raises a question of whether weapons are stored in a lot of mosques in this country, I have to say as well. But Josh, let me turn to Israel because obviously it is an important player in all of this. Do you anticipate a situation in which President Trump may decide that, as at the end of this so-called 12-day war, enough was enough, and essentially pull the plug and find that Israel is not prepared to do that again?
So the first thing to note here, Frank, is that this has been maybe the single greatest example of the U.S.-Israel alliance in my entire adult lifetime. We've seen any number of other instances of that, certainly the 12-day war last June, Trump coming in with the B-2 bombers over the Israeli air campaign. That was a good example. This takes that, frankly, to a whole nother level. I mean, these are two militaries working hand in glove, essentially as if they are one combined force. They are just so remarkably close to one another there. And it's just a huge rebuke to those, mostly on the left, but even some who call themselves on the right, who have been doing all they can to undermine this particular alliance there. And this, what we've seen over the past few days is just an extraordinary response about how important this alliance is at a time when it's been tested across the political spectrum, frankly, like no time before. Now, as far as Israel itself, look, a lot of the Arab countries have been on the receiving end of these Iranian missiles and drones, everywhere from Saudi and Bahrain, the UAE, Kuwait, Iraq, etc. Israel certainly is getting the brunt of it, and there have been, tragically, some direct hits in places like Beit Shemesh. They hit a synagogue there, tragically, at least 9 murdered, horrific stuff. May their blood be avenged. Jerusalem itself, very close, actually, to the old city, the holy sites, took a direct hit as well. I don't think that the Israeli people are going to wave the white flag and give in, Frank. The Israeli people are unified on, frankly, very few issues. It's an infamously fractious body politic. This is maybe the one issue that they are pretty much all unified on. In fact, I'll share a very brief anecdote. In 2016, I was co-leading a law school trip over to Israel, and we went to the Knesset, their legislature. We met with a very, very far left member, a guy who at the time was a Bernie Sanders supporter for president. I kid you not. And even he was sounding very hawkish on the Iranian issue. This is not a contested issue. Israelis recognize that Iran is the threat, that it is their existential threat there. And, certainly my wife who was born there, she's a lot of family there still. A lot of her family have been in and out of bomb shelters for the past few days there. It's not fun. I lived there myself a little bit last June. I was there when the war started. It's very grueling. It's taxing. It's stressful. It's awful, frankly. But they've been preparing for this for a very, very long time, and they're not going to give it anytime soon. That's for sure.
Well, and I just pray that President Trump will continue demonstrating both the courage as well as the strategic vision that has brought us to this pass. And I wasn't sure it would happen. Josh, I honestly didn't think I'd live to see the day when the people of Iran might finally be out from under these guys and us as well, needless to say. I pray, and I know you do as well, for the safety and the continued military prowess of both the Israeli forces and, of course, our own. And that those who are now taking some of those incomings, as you say, will see the merit of not getting into the fray themselves, which I think would complicate our lives considerably. We will be following this closely, as I know will you, Josh. I hope you'll come back to us soon with your further insights. God bless you, my friend.
I look forward to it, Frank.
Great
God
work
bless
you're doing. Keep it up. We'll be right back, folks. Stay tuned.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted,
seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th, like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit RealAmericasVoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office.
We're back, and so is one of our favorite people. Her name is Dr. Karen Sigeman, and we're going to be talking with her about a very special project that we've been working on together, and I'm going to give you a little bit of context for it on this very momentous day. Today is D-Day in Texas. There are numerous hotly contested races for key federal and state offices in the Republican primary election. Important as those contests' outcomes are, the single most consequential item is probably the last one on the ballot, Proposition 10. That's because it's 5 words. Texas should prohibit Sharia law. prescribe a vitally needed course correction in that state with regard to Islam's totalitarian political ideology and legal system, and offer a model for the rest of the country. In recent months, the need for such a prohibition has taken center stage in Texas, thanks to a massive Sharia-adherent development in East Plano. Revelations that state institutions now offer only halal food consecrated to Islam's Allah. $3 billion in taxpayer subsidies to pro-jihadist schools and organizations, and Muslim aggressively demanding further accommodations. Patriotic Texans must decisively approve Prop 10. BanSharia.com. Well, those are the important thoughts of the day as we record this particular program. It is Election Day at this moment. It is taking place in the state of Texas and a few other places. It is of paramount importance, though, here in the state of Texas, because as of yet, large numbers of expected Republican primary voters have yet to cast their ballot. By the time this program airs, we will know the outcome, of course, but we're going to talk with Karen about both the stakes in connection with this prohibition on Sharia law and the importance of it, not just for the people of Texas and their part of the civilized world, but the rest of the country as well, and indeed Judeo-Christian civilization itself. Dr. Sigeman is the president of a wonderful organization based in Los Angeles, California, the American Freedom Alliance. She has been an active participant in any number of the sort of organized efforts to defend freedom, notably through things like her sponsorship of important conferences with freedom fighters from around the world, including most recently on the 9th and 10th of January, visits by the great Geert Wilders, the Dutch parliamentarian, who a decade ago talked to Karen's group about the threat he then saw heading Europe's way. And on the occasion in first Dallas and then in Los Angeles, he spoke very powerfully about how his country and the rest of Europe are now being snuffed with respect to their freedoms. He warned it was headed our way as well. Karen has also been instrumental in the work of the Sovereignty Coalition, the Committee on the Present Danger of China, and we are deeply grateful to her for her help with what we call the Save Texas, Save America campaign that we've been mounting here with the help of Steve Bannon and many Texas patriots to try to assure the passage of Proposition 10, among other things. We're going to talk a little bit more about the rest of the campaign in a moment. Karen, first, though, let me say thank you for all of this great work and for visiting with us today to discuss it. Welcome back.
Frank, thank you so much. It's always an honor to be part of the efforts that you are making and part of and spearheading in order to preserve all that's great and good about this great country. And of course, by extension, Western civilization. As Texas goes, so goes the nation. But as the nation goes, so goes the world. And while that may not be always what we have front of mind, as they say, without America, there really is no free world. Hence why we are so relentlessly attacked. And being here in Texas, it's wonderful to be here from California, and it's wonderful to be part of the effort. As you know, with AFA, the first, yes, we did just bring Geert Wilders out, but we also, the first conference that I did with the American Freedom Alliance was entitled Islam and Western Civilization, Can They Coexist? And anybody listening to this knows, of course, the answer is no, and that is utterly by design. Islam is designed to take down Western civilization through any means necessary, not the least of which is by attacking Judeo-Christian values, precepts, underpinnings in its guise as a religion, but as we all know, it is a totalitarian ideology that seeks global dominance, and in part, it feels able to do so under the guise of a religion, which we utterly know that it is not. We also don't need to guess at what it's doing because we have seen it take over Europe city by city, church by church, overstepping, crushing, forcing submission by, unfortunately, those committing cultural suicide in Europe. And it takes no guesswork. We're seeing the playbook played out, and we need to stop it right here, right now in Texas is the current battleground.
Amen. Karen, we have to take a break here in just a moment. I did want to just introduce another piece of this that I think has been incredibly important to our discussion of this threat to Texas, and that is the model of the so-called perfect man, the Prophet Muhammad, as a leader in this Islamic totalitarian agenda. The man who personally led the early days of the conquest of Islam, the man who exhibited in almost every aspect of his life horrific behavior. And yet we're told that the faithful Muslim must emulate him in every respect. This is a very important indicator of why Sharia is not a religion. It is a totalitarian political ideology masquerading as one, and therefore is not deserving of, nor should enjoy, the protections of our First Amendment for religious freedom. It is the antithesis of religious freedom. We'll be right back with Karen Sigmund. Stay tuned for much more. All right, give me 1 second. I'm about to run out of juice on this.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted,
seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit RealAmericasVoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now.
Welcome back, and a special welcome once again to Dr. Karen Sigmund, a hero in the war for the free world, as I think of her. We're talking with her about the campaign to save Texas and save America that she has been instrumental in mounting here in the state of Texas in the past few days, as a matter of fact, as well. We are talking, Karen, about the perfect man, the Prophet Muhammad, and some of the things that he has defined as absolute requirements for those who follow him in the effort to impose Sharia, this totalitarian program, worldwide. And one of the things that we did yesterday, with your help, was an event in Dallas, Texas, the first of what we hope will be many across this country. Tell us a little bit about it, and what was it about the perfect man that inspired it, sir?
Well, we talk about Sharia and the evils of Islam and the way in which it's not a religion. And there are many, 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 many aspects of that. But one of the things that seems to capture people generally, for whatever reason, is the notion, the requirement, the tenet under Sharia that dogs are impure, dirty, therefore ought not be pets, and therefore ought be killed. And their treatment of animals generally, again, so antithetical to everything that we in the West believe, and I would say globally, generally speaking. But to have under Sharia law the mandate of killing dogs, and we're seeing this in New York. It's been arising as something that needs to be advocated for. So it is one of the ways of capturing people's interest in this horrific thing and their emotional attachment to it, bringing them along, because so many of the horrors are too easily dismissed. But they're coming after your dogs. That just captures us in a very different way. So we had a beautiful event in a beautiful park in Dallas, where people brought their dogs, and we all had signs, don't take my dog, but we had Black Labs Matter. Of course, I believe all labs matter. Don't come after our dogs. And the point that we keep making is they hate your dog. How can you accept this? In what way is this a religious tenet of any legitimate religion, right? It makes no sense. And yet it is. And if they're willing to do that, it just boggles the mind as to what the whole framework of this quote religion is. Again, it is a totalitarian ideology that seeks global dominance. This is an area that is nonpartisan. How can you be left or right about dogs? So it was
and I think this
beginning.
is a point on which we can actually mobilize large numbers of people, both in Texas for sure and elsewhere across this country. Karen, let's talk about the next phase of this. Again, our prayerful hope is that there will be a strong endorsement from the public, voting public here in Texas, that this state should prohibit Sharia law. Assuming for the purpose of discussion that this vote will be positive, what is the plan going forward for our campaign to try to ensure that this is now translated into policy here and hopefully elsewhere?
Right. Well, there's the here aspect, which we do hope it is passed not just 50-ish, but with a resounding mandate, as you say. Then the next step here in Texas is to ensure that all candidates and sitting officers are empowered, encouraged, made passionate about this topic. In your words, this needs to be a voting issue. Candidates need to take this on. Those seated need to move in accordance with what the people will so clearly designate that they want. That's Texas. One would hope that the mandate would be resounding in Texas. So if it becomes, for example, on voter guides, if this is an issue made a question asked of candidates, we need to put it front and center. After Texas, we need to go elsewhere because we've already seen Minnesota fall, Michigan, Virginia. We've seen Mamdani being now the mayor of New York City. Los Angeles has at least one, it looks like 2 Islamic candidates. Those are incredibly important officers, executive positions, let alone school boards and all kinds of other pernicious invasions of our constitutional republic. And we know they're not just doing it because it's their religion. It is a mandate to conquest. And this is the way they're conquering. It's a different kind of jihad. So the next steps are ensuring that people are made aware of it, ensuring that electorally it's made a massive issue, and then to take this campaign that we've been working on to other states under attack. Florida, for example, Georgia. I don't know what we can do about California, but we need to come up with a blueprint as they have. They have been waging war on us, Frank. We need to engage in that war in an active way to counter it, because this cannot stand.
You're absolutely right, Karen, of course. And this is the thing that I guess most astonishes people as they learn about the state of this state, among others, is that this has been going on for so long, that this has been allowed to metastasize, that specifically infrastructure has been built. We've documented, with the help of one of our colleagues, Kristen Deering, that there are some 600 Sharia supremacist organizations, front groups, mosques, schools, and the like in this state, which have been receiving, many of them at least, taxpayer subsidies to the tune of something like $4 billion over the past 9 years. This is astounding. It must stop. And the place to begin that stopping is to adopt Proposition 10 here in the state of Texas. I hope the state will do so massively. We'll talk more about it in the days to come. Count on it. In the meantime, I hope the rest of you will join us for those conversations next time. Go forth and multiply in the meantime.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted.
Seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th, like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit RealAmericasVoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now.